everybody. So I'm Mark Benthin, standing in for Dario for a few minutes to have a conversation fireside chat with Malik Chahed. Hi, Malik. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. Back in the office, as you can see. Big change compared to the 18 months ago where we were both working from home. So quite nice. And as a few words of
Yes.
introduction, I'm Malik Chahed.
Mhm.
I'm the worldwide omnichannel director for the Hematology franchise in Novartis.
Fantastic. And speaking of 18 months, I guess the last sort of conversation that we had around omnichannel activity and development, that was about 18 months ago or so. And the world has evolved since then, I guess. Certainly, we've seen the gradual end of restrictions and maybe not quite the return to the office, but we've seen the return to um, more omnichannel activities, let's say. So, how do you see that transition over the last, let's say, from 18 months ago to now? What has been your biggest preoccupation over the last 12 months?
Well, I would divide it in several parts, right? The first one, I think one of the important one is congresses are back. And we can see our medical activities are starting to shape up again around those congresses where they were going mostly virtual. They are still virtual, but the face-to-face interaction there, including the booths, etc., are getting back. And it means as well that some interaction are there. Not everybody can travel, nonetheless, right? So there's still some optimization and maximization of the content there that should happen and is happening indeed. And I'm having in mind Ash that should happen at the end at the end of this week. For some of us, it's one of the big events of the year. Face to face as well, right? The role of the field force has evolved. The first one is doctors are kind of, some of them are now used to not see reps anymore and are happy with that. Some of them are very eager to see reps and are very happy to have this connection and have this engagement with someone face to face to have a proper discussion, either reps or MSLs, right? And I think the role is starting to evolve as well. You were asking me what happened this year. Well, I think one of the realization that we kind of anticipated was, oh, the volume of voice has dramatically increased. I think all of us in the industry has been, changing and transforming, pivoting our engagement to more digital engagement. Could be emails,
Mhm.
could be webcast, could be different type of events. And because of that, the volume of voice and noise has increased dramatically. Part of what we've been doing is trying to change from the model of push to pull. And of course, it's easier said than done, right? We've been trying to do that, trying to find better innovative solution for peer-to-peer engagement with communities, but as well, what's in it for our doctors. And in that sense, we are trying to go and happy to discuss further with you in a more sequential and personalized engagement. And I think that's kind of the big theme that we've been doing is how do we go into this personalized and sequential engagement, trying to go modular, but as again easier said than done. We saw that the ladder was smaller than that. Nonetheless, we start climbing it, and that's an interesting topic as well.
Yeah, I guess earlier this year there was a lot of talk of, because everybody had turned up the digital fires in a very similar way, that there was a lot of talk of digital fatigue. But now it seems like some of that response is to find out, not just, it's not specifically which channels a physician is selecting to, it's more which individual elements they're drawn to, and then across which channels, in order to try and make it a little bit more of that two-way relationship, not exclusively push, perhaps never exclusively pull, but being able to bring the two of them together in a way that makes sense. Otherwise, that notion of fatigue, it tends to apply, I would imagine, to um, more of a broad-based messaging type approach where we're not taking into account that personalization will result in more fatigue. Would you say that that's been part of this transition, moving towards the personalization side?
Definitely, Mark. And in essence, we tried to step up, based on all the feedback that we have received, right, and based on all the market research that we conducted. What's in it for our doctors? What's in it in terms of customer experience for them while you're pushing your content? That's the question that we try to put in the center of our engagement. And because of that, we still had to do it at scale, right? It's
Mm.
easy to say, oh, I will create only super high quality content, sure, but I don't have more money, right? Nor should I spend more, right? It's I should spend the money where it matters. And as a pharma company, you rather spend your money as well in research and development to find new drugs than only marketing. Nonetheless, there are smarter ways to engage with customers, and I have in mind a few things. One is how do we bring this personal feeling into the engagement? I have in mind some of the personalized video from reps that you can include in emails, or that you can include within your website, and do that in a personalized way for this customer in particular, based on the interaction we had. And I think the new machines that we are building and the new technologies that are now available are enabling us to do that at scale and at cost. And I think that's
Mhm.
also part of the solution that we are testing. Are we completely there yet? Well, no, but I think it's a great learning already, right? It's a great learning. I think we still need also to gather the feedback and to be able to integrate that within our master data management, and to go more into segment of few. Because for now we are still segment of many, but we are getting there, and we are getting there also by bringing the rep within this type of element. The second, and as we were talking, part of the technology that I tested, right? Part of the role of omnichannel is also to bring new technology to life and try to see, is this fitting the organization, first at pilot and then at scale. The interesting one was also the avatar technology that is kind of easy to use right now, where uh, based on Congress data, you can also create an avatar and use this avatar to explain the key message that we had. And I think that's also part of the technology that we used and we would like to continue using in the future. One of the big rollouts we also did was this personalized messaging. I was talking about this 18 months ago. Well, the rollout went well. Of course, always more difficult to apply at scale in different markets, because the need of adaptation, right? The local need of adaptation, and where some of the pain points in the process you figure out while you are deploying, right? And I'm having in mind the data consistency across the different market on how you measure this specific message for this specific segment, because the segment name isn't the same in German or in Japanese. Well, you cannot completely aggregate the data. Those
Mm.
things, some of the viewers might say, oh, well, it's kind of obvious. Well, see for yourself, it's not that obvious, because sometimes there is regulatory reason where you might need the name in specific languages. So there is things that you learn on the go, and I think it's overall a journey, but we are getting closer to this omni-channel vision that I was talking about 18 months ago, where we want to go into this segment of few. We are getting closer now. We are in this segment of many, and we are engaging in that sense. And with the addition of customization and sequential engagement, I think we are getting closer to that. To now, it's also how do we gather the feedback in real time, not only with your click through rate, not only open rate, and not only with the time views per element, but also gathering better quality feedback from the HCP based on that, to try to get everything and adjust in a not real time, but I would say in a more frequent manner.
Mm. Mm. So a complex channel more than localization of existing, single piece of content or even 100 pieces of content across 20 markets. it's now kind of bringing that modular notion, but applying the personalization to it means that at the end of the day, you never have a correct, perfect solution with personalization. You have a good enough, this is as far as we need to invest type of solution for the individuals and the segments that you're addressing. So how do you measure what good is good enough in this new approach, or have you been able to establish that yet?
Well, and I don't know if it's a characteristic of Novartis in particular or most of the pharma industry, but in our industry we tend to go for perfects, right? Where uh, often that lead us to technology gap compared to other industries, and I'm thinking banking, insurance, etc. And even travel and retail, where the digitalization went way faster for some reason, right? For some specific reason, because we are caring for patients, and this could have an impact for them. But nonetheless, I think we still have the duty to try. So at first, it's dare and try, right? When is it good enough? Well, that will depend as well on our customer feedback, right? I think the customer experience has had to be measured, and we have to find some results. Well, I tell you some of the metrics that I've been using, right? First one is sales, in a sense. And we've been able to show that segmented messaging had an impact of there is a delta between 1% and 3% in 6 months in Germany, just using segmented messaging for the right customer, and we still had to adjust the target list based on the segmentation, because we figure out that the initial segmentation, behavioral segmentation that we had, wasn't completely fitting the one that is real, based on doctors' feedback, and some of the material that we were using that were for specific segment of doctors, we've realized that they were more beneficial for other type of doctors. So that's part of the learning. And well, good enough, it will never be good enough. So try, launch, fail, do better, and do it quickly. I think that's part of the learning that we've been doing this year, and trying to be more agile in the way we are doing things and in the iteration process. We've been able to do way more, A/B testing. We've been able to measure consistently across the different markets, and to test some new technology at scale. And I think that's part of the interesting thing that we've done this year. The future is still very exciting in that sense, right? I think some of the other part of the infrastructure organization will come to life in the coming few months, and that's also part of the excitement that I have for 2023.
Right, and those elements tend to feed um, across themselves. So as there's improvement in the data knowledge base and AI applications on the back end, that then feeds the front end capabilities to go that much further, or to seem that much more relevant, possibly, and allows you to go further down this road of personalization and segmentation. But it is um, a continual cycle of update, change, and look for new methods or new approaches to maybe apply older strategies, but in a way that seems like it's a better, more convenient, or potentially faster experience for the end physician to get the information that they need when they need it. You've mentioned the pull. So how do you achieve, if we go back to that initial comment on push and pull, how do you think that we can achieve this push towards pull? Is it by being personalized? We expect to have a resource by being more personalized and sequential in our push, that we expect that the physicians will take advantage of existing resources and pull from them more, or will they just become accustomed to the high quality personalized push, and that suffices as a replacement for the pull? How do you see that transition happening?
I would probably, sorry, I won't have a straightforward answer for you. My answer will be in two parts. Uh, the first one will be depending on your product prioritization and product life cycle. Right? Meaning, do you invest? Do you have money or not? Right? That's to make it super clear. Uh, if you have the money, there are also tactics that are beyond your usual marketing mix. And I'm thinking peer-to-peer network. I'm thinking QOL, medical expert engagement. I'm thinking those type of engagement where beyond the Novartis or the pharma network, you need also to help them to share, especially if you have a new product, the experience. The experience
Mhm.
needs to be shared and by trusted partners, and those are usually also peers, right?
Mhm.
And that's something we have extended. We have extended as well with social media, trying to support our engagement through social media uh, uh, by supporting some closed channel within social media. And I'm thinking of LinkedIn closed channels that are also one of the media. To the second point, that's if you have money. If you don't have money, I think another way to engage, let's say you don't have field force, right? Because you cannot promote anymore, and you need to focus your efforts. Well, in that case, your HCP portal or your website or even your third party need to integrate this kind of customer journey and customizable journey within the portal based on their needs.
Mm.
What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about a doctor that would log in to the HCP portal based on his preference or her preferences. You can have adjustable pages, and then based on what they looked at, they can also select, I want to see more of this or that with high quality content, right? But even further, are you able to connect with your reps or MSL directly from the website to book? We're
Mhm.
getting there. We've done pilots of that, successful pilots of that. It's not at scale yet, but I think if you think about those doctors that don't want to see your reps or your MSLs anymore, for them to be able to go on the website and say, "Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting product. I would probably like to know more. Can I call someone?" A bit like the experience you can have on other websites, even on the automotive industry. That's also kind of what we are aiming for. Of course, different needs, but I think there is a clear need from the doctor to be able to connect and then to have this sequential videos where they have a personalized engagement. They feel supported, even if we don't have physical interaction. They still feel supported, and that's part of the other working model that we are supporting for next year.
Right. Okay. So moving, having the draw of the content to deliver on the value of self-service, and then with that, being able to make sure that the website is able to give them that surround sound approach to provide that level of service in those places where the budgets are more limited. Makes sense. And then as we look forward, so the last time we had a chat of this nature was 18 months ago. So as we look forward over the next 18 months or say 2 years, 23, 24, will be cresting into 2025. You might have more gray hair, who knows? What do you see as being um, the next things that are really important to integrate across the organization? There's been
Or less
lots of,
hair. I don't know. We'll
or
see.
less hair. Well, we're already there. And whether it's not necessarily technologies, but cohesive approaches, where do you think, is it just more of the same with what we're doing, or is it that model of experimentation and hypothesis that is leading to a much better, greater result on both the front end and the back end? Or is it, something else that you see as a sea change that will be coming down the pipe? How do you see that crystal ball of the next 24 months?
Um, Great question. In essence, I would say that first, execution is still a priority, right? We still need to execute seamlessly uh, at scale, uh, and to promote our drugs to better serve our patients at the end of the day, right? That's the first one is execution. It's still key. So you still need to be able to localize, to do it well, to do it at scale, and to have great quality content. That's the first one. That is kind of obvious, but you still need to do it. It's nice to do all the super cool technological things. You still need to execute, to find solutions for. I need to still find solutions for my markets to be able to deploy the content faster at scale at cost, right? And so
Hmm.
is the production model that we have is fitting their needs? That's still something that is in mind and that we are working on. Second, it's about the customer experience. Uh, I'm responsible for hematology and I'm promoting different products. Am I able to really have one full hematology voice across the different products to answer their holistic needs? Because uh, but they have different type of patients, right? I'm supporting one type of doctor that are hematologists, and they see different type of patients. And so, in that sense, am I able to bring them toolkit that is required for all that type of patient, and not only the priority brands? And that's the view is how am I able to bring this kind of consistency across the different brands. Then, of course, we are in a very moving environment. That's what makes our job super exciting, right? Technologies comes and goes, and we still need to listen to what's next. Podcast was and is still a big thing. It's less dominant than it was 18 months ago. Nonetheless, there are things. There will be new things coming, and if you ask me what are those new things in 2025, I cannot say. But for
Hmm.
sure, we will try it. And I think that's also our duty to listen to our physician and patient needs, to make sure that we are able to find the suitable channels that will suit them and not the one that I have already deployed. And that's a challenge, right? Because it forces us to reinvent ourselves and to reinvent our engagement model every 18 months. And of course, you still need to have your basics, and those will still work. But how do you find a new way to better coordinate with the new things that are coming? How do you still find the right place for your face-to-face engagement? I think that's part of the thing that will be a challenge for the next 24 months.
That makes sense. And
New technologies that excites me. Well, as I was saying, this sequential and personalized engagement, including video, and AI, are one. There's best action, yes, to a point, and but with better integration with the content creation. I think that's also something where I'm trying to close the loop. Where I'm not there yet, but that's something that we are actively working on.
mhm. Okay. Well, fantastic. Great to have a catch up
I have a
chat. And
small gap in terms of time. I think we are not exactly synchronous.
yes. Um, so thank you for providing your insights, and as we continue down this road of omnichannel innovation and strategy, and it certainly looks like the next 2 years will require even more effort than the last two, but we'll continue to evolve in this space.
And can I return you the question? What do you think are your next big technology that you foresee that will have an impact on the industry?
Well, now uh, thanks for that. I mean, we certainly think that there's ladders, steps of the ladder that everything is already built upon, which is they are elements of a modular content. No matter how you implement it, the notion of being able to create small pieces of something and combine them into a greater whole is an important one. They are elements of convenience for all aspects of the supply chain on sales and marketing. So it's easy for those that are involved to stand on top of that soapbox and take advantage of the materials that are available. So that means it needs to be able to do the personalization and the sequencing at scale very easily, very quickly, and without causing a lot of headache with those that are participating, and that includes the regulatory team. So I think convenience is absolutely critical, and being able to continue this path of building on notions of modularity, notions of automation, so that uh, it's a lot easier to deliver a solution globally that can have the right impact locally and even down to the individual. But you're not starting to scale this process. We know that we must deliver at scale, so we need to pilot at scale to some degree, right? So we have to be able to bring that into account. And it's clear that the mobile usage is through the roof, and that the applications that are possible on for customer engagement are taking advantage of improved bandwidth worldwide. So it does speak to things that are easy to understand, easy to consume, easy to potentially generate, and have high value. And we think that now is a good time for the industry to work with video in a way that can be personalized, in a way that can be modularly delivered, that can also be used at scale, and not in the traditional I'm doing a huge video production kind of mode, but in the I'm delivering video and it's just part of what's being done and it always looks good. And I think that's a very important capability over the next, call it 12 to 24 months. Once that is achieved, then you certainly will be able to have other aspects and move on from that. But we learn best visually. We learn best, without having to do a lot of heavy lifting as humans. And I think that is a very important capability to work into this model of personalization and all those other aspects that have been built up over the last several years. Beyond that, who knows what the metaverse will bring to us, where whatever makes sense for the physicians. At the end of the day, I don't see physicians putting on sunglasses in order to look at content or anything like that. It has to fit our daily life, right? So whatever makes sense so that they can improve their situation, their understanding, and obviously the outcomes with their patients. That's where we need to be, and just at scale.
Completely agree with that, and really looking forward to see how we can integrate those snackable content overall within our marketing mix.
Great. So with that, have a fantastic end of 2022. It's not over yet, and and then start to the new year, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope it was interesting for everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.